Welcome back to Breaking Spines, the miscellaneous book review show for reviewing miscellaneous books. And today we're going sci-fi with Croyd by Ian Wallace. Published in 1967 by Berkeley Medallion, the book takes place in a distant future where most of known space is controlled by the human-run Galactic Union based on Nereid, a moon of Neptune. When Nereid is threatened by a group of young terrorists called Hotspurs, the president enlists the help of Croyd, a space agent with a unique ability to manipulate time. However, Croyd finds himself a target of the Neural, an unknown alien race with the ability to take over a person's body. A Neural princess named Lurla manages to take over Croyd's body, while Croyd's consciousness is moved into the body of a young woman named Greta. Now without his powers, Croyd and Greta must work together to get Croyd back into his body, stop Hotspurs, and figure out just what the Neural are planning. Probably the most interesting thing about Croyd is how it doesn't seem to fit in with any of the trends of science fiction writing at the time. It was published during a time that has become known in the sci-fi circles as New Wave, when writers were responding directly to the styles and tropes of the so-called Golden Age of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. In highly, probably insultingly simplified terms, the Golden Age favored hard science fiction, straightforward pulp stories, and lots of space travel, while the New Wave favored softer science fiction, more literary experimentation, and lots of interspace travel. Also, way more women writers, which is awesome. Despite being contemporary to the New Wave, Croyd feels much more like a look back to the days of A.E. Van Vogt than one forward to the days of Michael Moorcock. This book is all over them intergalactic politics, them alien invaders, them paragraphs upon paragraphs attempting to explain their made-up science. Croyd is at least 45% technobabble. A book being of an older style is hardly a problem, but along with an older style, Ian Wallace brings in a lot of older politics as well. This is mostly seen in the Hotspurs subplot. The Hotspurs are basically Wallace taking a big shit on various youth and counterculture movements of the time, having the Hotspurs being a bunch of easily led, lazy, good-for-nothings that are probably dodging the draft and trying to get the voting age dropped from 21 to 18. This book hates those hippie commie straw men almost as much as Dragnet. If Ronald Reagan ever read this book, I bet his favorite scene was when all the Hotspurs get all horribly murdered. The Neurals are more sympathetic villains, and they want to kill the entire human race and implode the Milky Way. They just don't seem right. Another thing to take into account is that Ian Wallace's primary influence is not any sci-fi author, but another Ian, namely Ian Fleming, the guy behind James Bond. The character of Croyd can be read as a space-hopping, time-traveling Bond, with all the womanizing and boozing and the hitting people and stuff. He's a man's man who manages to make two women on different sides of the galaxy fall in love with him at the same time. Greta while he's occupying her mind, and Lurla while she occupies his body and learns his history and reputation. He's just a perfect specimen of man, and funnily enough, half Egyptian god. No, really, Croyd is a demigod. That's how they explain his genetic time travel abilities, which is kind of hilarious when you consider how hard Wallace tries to make his story seem as hard sci-fi everywhere else. He really wants you to believe in his made-up science. The thing is, Ian Fleming and his version of James Bond are not things you should be looking up to. Fleming was kind of a crappy person. He was racist, sexist, homophobic, sadistic, and so on. He named his villains after childhood bullies and architects he didn't like. He was weirdly petty like that. Ian Wallace isn't nearly that bad, at least not in this book. But that might be because foreign cultures and gay people don't seem to exist in this world for the characters to comment on. There's still sexism, though. One of the weirdest cases of it, is that while in Greta's mind, Croyd does some mind-over-matter tricks to improve Greta's body, make her more healthy, stronger, faster, and oh my god, he repairs her hymen. Croyd not only uses supernatural abilities to make this woman more attractive, he restores her virginity. The book makes a big deal over this being a good thing. What the hell? I cling to small, awful moments like this because, to be frank, I really had no idea what was going on in this book. I mean, okay, I got the basic plot. I know who the good guys were and who the bad guys were, but I can't honestly tell you what anybody was actually doing in this book. A lot of it is buried under meaningless, incomprehensible technobabble. We spend a lot of time explaining how Spaceship A is traveling to Location B without telling us why Spaceship A is going to Location B in the first place. Character motivations seem constantly up in the air. I get that the Neurals are afraid of invasion by the human forces and want to kill them as a preemptive measure, but I still don't know why Lurla did the things she did. Stealing Croyd's body and pretending to be him didn't actually seem to do anything besides make the humans aware of the Neurals' plan. And then you're going to throw time travel on top of that? I honestly can't tell you what happens in the last third of this book. I didn't understand anything that was going on. And something tells me that trying to graph it out wouldn't be all that rewarding. This isn't Primer. This is half-god space James Bond messing around with body swap hijinks and killing space hippies. If you're going to be this silly, you need that clarity. Otherwise, what's the point? Would I recommend Croyd? No, 1,000 times no. This is the worst book I've covered for Breaking Spines thus far. Even if you got past its retrograde style, its even more retrograde politics, its poor choice of influences, and its nasty sexism, it's so badly written it's unapproachable. And it's not cryptic and confusing for artistic reasons, things are just that badly explained. The only positive thing I can say about Croyd is that it's short, just a little over 180 pages, but it's 180 pages of garbage. Well, thank you for watching, and keep on breaking spines.